Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is
Beaucoup. It's slang for great in quantity or amount, many or much. And this is probably one of the later episodes. I'm not recording it until 8:45 p.m. tonight on a Thursday. And it's late because I struggled with this because we just recorded slew, which means a great number of, which isn't very different than great in quantity or amount. That's almost exactly the same. So I struggled and thought there are two ways I could go with this. One, I could choose a different word, which to me is not the solution, because then it makes it subjective in that if I don't feel like I can do it, or if I feel like it's too close to something else, then I'm choosing a different word, which does not have a definitive line, which for me, I love fine or defined lines. You know, we record an episode a day, and whatever the word is, we use it. As soon as I break that line, then we've got a little bit of fuzziness to it, and it could go in any direction. So I said I'm going to stick with it, but I struggled all day. I made a couple notes here and there, but I was very busy with work, so it was hard. And then I recorded with Rob Kramer tonight for our Wednesday night episodes. We record a week ahead of time. I recorded with him tonight, and I mentioned that I was struggling with it, and the problem that it's a almost near match to what we just did. And he said Beaucoup bucks, which was the spark that I needed. Because I was thinking just straight the definition, and I believe it's a French word, so I started to think of a great number of French things and things that make me think about France. And as someone who's never studied France or never been to France, where do I start with, like French toast or French fries, which probably aren't even French things as far as you hear in popular culture. Many of French words being thrown at you in some sort of literary thing. But I just tossed around ideas and got nowhere with it. But when Rob said Beaucoup bucks, it made me think of a conversation that I had this morning about Monopoly and people that play Monopoly incorrectly. And the thing about Monopoly that people play incorrectly is there's two ways. Generally, there's two things that they do wrong. One is they do not do the auctions for a property. So if you land on a property and you do not want to buy it, you're supposed to auction it off to the highest bidder. You could get it for nothing. You can get it for $1, as little as $1, I guess. And a lot of people don't play that way. And they keep doing this roll and move and go around the board. And the idea is, I don't know if it's the idea, but it's going to be less turns if all the properties are bought up quicker. So you have to buy them or somebody else buys them. So every time you land on one, you buy it. It doesn't solve the issue of bad die rolling, and you could just not land on it. But it does speed it along in a small way. But the other one, and the one that relates to today's word, is free parking. What happens when you land on free parking? Nothing. It's just a space. It makes no sense. I don't even get it. I don't know why you could design a game with spaces that do things and have one that does nothing but doesn't say that it does nothing. And it's like, I don't know if it's the origin of house rules, but it's definitely the origin of many people's house rules. And the general house rule for free parking is if you land on free parking, you get all the money that's in the middle. And the problem with that Monopoly, and many of you probably already know this, but it's just where I went with today's word. But the problem with that Monopoly is you're putting money into a game that's about bankrupting people. You're putting money into a system that's about running out of money. So it's the direct opposite of the point of the game, and it in turn will lengthen the game. So thinking about Beaucoup bucks and the free parking issue in Monopoly, my notes, I talked about a game where you have that free parking space and it gains money. And the idea of this game is not to bankrupt people. It's to get more money. And it's to get more money, maybe even out of the system and out of the bank. So I thought of not a one versus many, it was almost a co-op game against the bank where, one thing is it could be robbing banks, which is fine and is a theme that, has been done. And it's very thematic. Usually it's not about taking money from the bank. It's about, you sneaking around and physically getting money, and avoiding the cops and things like that. But I thought about, you're trying to drain a bank from its resources. And the whole idea in all of it was just that there's certain spots where you land that pulls more money into a common pool that eventually players can pick at. And it could be competitive and it could be cooperative. But I was thinking about free parking in a game that deserved free parking, and free parking not so much deserved it, but free parking complements the gameplay. So a couple ideas with that. Obviously, draining the bank. But the one that I thought was really neat was a growing lottery. So in the center of the board, the free parking is every time you land on a space, and it wouldn't be roll and move and land on a space, but every time something happens, there's some sort of randomness, so it's not fully controlled by the players. More money is added to the center pool. And then eventually, it's going to pop. And when it pops, either one person or multiple people are going to take and split that money. And the idea is just to make that grow to a point where eventually someone's going to hit this value that's going to end the game. So landing on free parking puts more money in the game, in the system, which is working us towards our end goal. And to me, that's what it needs to be. It can't be the opposite. And I thought of it in an extremely literal opposite version of Monopoly, where every time someone landed on free parking, every other player had to put money into the center. So maybe even including yourself. Like, you don't want to land on free parking. And this is just a Monopoly variant, which was not the intention of today's episode, but it went there. But every time you land on free parking, everybody has to throw a dollar amount, which maybe can be determined by the active player, which would be interesting. It could have a limit. It could be limited by the die roll that you rolled to get in there. You rolled a 5, which means your limit is $500 or $50 or some, I don't know. But anyway, when you land on free parking, everybody, including you, has to toss money in, draining the players of their money, pushing us towards the end game. So there we go. That's all I got for today. It took me a long time to get there, and I have to thank Rob for saying Beaucoup bucks, because it clicked as soon as he said that. It was a struggle before that. All right, thanks. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Hopefully it moves a little better than this one. See ya.